Okay, guys, this is going to be lesson 87 in your notes, and this is just kind of a review for us from proportions. Okay, number 1, this is not our one, but this is just a refresher. We're going to do 2 of these. We're going to set the problem. 4 is to 6 as 6 is to 9. Okay, and then number 2, 2 is to 6 as what number is to 30. And so what number would that be? Well, I know 6 times what? In this problem, I can do an equivalent fraction by multiplying the same number. What I do to the top, I do to the bottom. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So I can say 6 times 5 will give me 30. So 2 times 5 will give me 10. So in this case, I know x is 10 to find the equivalent proportion. 4 is to 3 as 12 is to what number? So 4 is to 3 as 12 is to what number? Well, in this case, I can do the same thing. I know I can multiply something to 4 to get 12. So 4 times 3 will give me 12. So what are the top I do to the bottom? So 3 times 3 is 9. So in this case, my x has to equal 9. And last but not least, we have 6 is to 9 as what number is to 36? Well, same kind of deal. I know what can I do to 9 to get 36. So I know 9 times 4. What are the bottom, I do the top. So 6 times 4, that number has to be 24. Good job. Okay, so let's just solve this. 4x equals 12. Well, there's 2 different ways we can do it. We can use the fact families, but what I like to do sometimes, I like to inverse operations. What's the inverse operation of multiplication? Division. So what can I want n to get n to be by itself. So what can I do to this n to get it by itself? Well, what's being done to n? N is being multiplied by 4. So the inverse of multiplying by 4 would be dividing by 4. So could I divide both sides by 4? And this would cancel out, and that would leave me with n equals 3. How do you check these? You plug it back in. So if I know that n equals 3, wherever I see n, I'm going to put a 3 in its place. So 4 times 3 equals 12. Now I want to remind you, feel free to pause. I want you to pause the video as I'm working. I want you to pause and write the original equation, this part right here, and then you can play it again and you can work it again with me. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So now we're going to solve this one. So pause the video for me and write 5 times n equals 20. So write that down and then we'll work it together. Okay, so I know my variable here is m. And I ask myself, what's being done to m? Well, m is being multiplied by 5. What's the inverse of multiplication? Division. So what can I do to both sides to get m by itself? I can divide both sides by 5. Now, I know I have to do it to both sides because what I do to the top, I do to the bottom. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. What I do to the left side, I do to the right side. What I do to the right side, I do to the left side. So 5 divided by 5 is going to cancel out. Both of those are going to be 1 because you know how we simplify. So now I'm left with m equals 4. And how do you plug it in? Wherever you see m, you plug it back in. So I say 5 times 4 equals 20. Well, guess what, guys? 20 equals 20. So we're good to go. Let's solve this one. Well, what's being done? Well, we don't see a sign here, but when I see a letter and a variable, not a variable, when I see a number and a variable back to back, that means multiply. So if I want to, if that confuses you, if sometimes they try to trick us on it, so what we can do is we can just write it out. 6 times n equals 30. Okay, so I circle my variable because that's what I want to be on one side by itself. I want the variable on one side of the equal sign, and I want the number on the other side. So what can I do to get n by itself? Well, what's being done to n? N's being multiplied by 6. So what's the inverse of multiplication? Division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 6. The reason why this cancels out is 6 divided by 6. That equals 1 and 1. So that really just leaves me with n. And I know 30 divided by 6 equals 5. And how I can check it is I can plug it back into my problem. So 6 times 5 equals 30. And guess what? 30 equals 30. So it checks out. So we're good. Okay, moving on to the next portion. It's another multiplication, and you guys will have a chance to do this. Let's go ahead and do this This one right here. Okay, with decimals, we can do this. It's the same kind of operation. When I see a number and a variable back to back, it means to multiply. So if you want to, I don't mind at all. It might make it easier for you. Okay, so in this case right here, I have 6/10 times m equals 48 thousandths. So what's being done to my m? M's being multiplied by 6/10. So what's the inverse of multiplication? Division. So I'm going to divide both sides because I know what I do to one side, what I do to the left I do to the right, what I do to the top I do to the bottom. So I'm going to divide both sides by 6/10. So those will cancel out, leaving me with m equals, so now I have to divide it over here. Whatever is on top, the numerator is always what goes in your house. Remember, whatever is most important, you keep safe, it's your dividend. So I have 48 thousandths divided by 6/10. Now, some of you will probably want to leave that zombie outside the house. So we got to move what we do outside, we do inside. So I have to move my decimal one time to make it whole. So we do outside, I do inside, so I have to move it one time here. Is it okay if a decimal is in your house? Yes, that's fine. We just have to raise the roof, bring it to the roof. So 6 will not go into 0. I'm going to bring my decimal up, and 6 will not go into 4. But 6 will go into 48. How many times? 8 times. 8 times. So 8 times 6 is 48. When you subtract that out, leaves you with 0. So my m in this problem has to be 800. And then 45 equals 4x. So in this case, I know my, it's okay because it's on this side. So I have 45 equals, when I see a number and a variable back to back, that means to multiply. So I have 4 times x. So what's the inverse of multiplication? Division. So I'm going to circle my variable. It's okay if it's on this side if you want to. If it makes it easier for you, you can rewrite the problem. You can say 4x equals 45, but either way it's going to be okay because these are both the same. We just flip what's on what side. So I'm going to circle my variable. What's the inverse of multiplication? Division. So what I'm going to do to both sides, I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So that cancels out, and that leaves me with x equals 45 divided by 4. Well, 4 goes into 4 one time, leaving you with 0. Bring down your 5. 4 goes into 5 one time, leaving you with 1. Now here's your option. You can stop right here and you can say 11 and 1/4, or you can add your decimal 0 and it will be 11 and 2500. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. Okay, so now okay, and we're not going to worry about this. We're going to say your homework is going to be page, for lesson 87, your homework is, it begins on page 453. 453 through 455. And you're going to do numbers 1 through 29 odd. Make sure they're correct. We will be checking them.